Gosh, man, ain't this a trip? Gleb Pugachev, top Montreal Canadiens prospect, still doesn't have a picture on Elite Prospects. Oh, am I able to submit one myself? Oh, I need explicit permission from the photographer? Okay, I guess I'm not doing that anytime soon. But the reason we are bringing up Gleb Pugachev's name at the start of this video is because Gleb is a player that represents a very specific kind of mold that the Montreal Canadiens will introduce to their lineup over the next few years. Drafted in the first round of this most recent draft, Pugachev is a big, brutal force, the most violent player out of the 2026 draft, and just a total wrecking ball on skates that does not let down and that does not let his opponents get through their shift unscathed. However, it may take a while for Gleb Pugachev to inevitably play in the National Hockey League, maybe even suit up on a line with Ivan Demidov if one of those guys moves over to the left side. So in the meantime, what if the Montreal Canadiens were to go out there and acquire yet another big, brutal force? Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets one more time because, man, oh man, all these Blue Jacket guys seem to be getting linked to the Montreal Canadiens in some way or another. Today we're talking about Mathieu Olivier, a guy who has definitely made his mark in the National Hockey League as one of the roughest, toughest sons of a gun to suit up over the past few years. We're also talking about an article that was posted on MontrealHockeyFanatics.com by Gabriel Sammy that talks about how the Canadiens could target this surprising power forward to play with Ivan Demidov. That surprising power forward, obviously, is Olivier over here. Let's dive into the scoop on the profile before we dive into the scoop of the article. By the way, this piece linked in the description down below if you want to read it yourself. Olivier is 29 years old, out of Biloxi, Mississippi, USA. So definitely the rare place of birth amongst National Hockey League level athletes. But Olivier is 29 years old, 6'1", 231, a right-handed winger who can play on the left or the right. That 6'1" is pretty normal, but that 231 is indicative of the absolute boldness that Olivier plays with on the ice. He was initially an undrafted free agent that signed with the Predators system back in the day. He played some games here and there, didn't get too many points with Nashville, and inevitably found himself in Columbus's organization at the start of the 22-23 season. Olivier then progressed upwards throughout the years with Columbus, inevitably getting a 32-point and 18-goal season in 82 games, which included 139 penalty minutes. That was 2024-2025, and he actually produced even more this previously completed season. Now, I get it, he had 6 fewer points, but look at the games played. He had 21 fewer games played, 26 total points in 61 games, including 15 goals. He was a plus 13, and he had 101 penalty minutes. Olivier was so good that he was brought on to Team USA at the World Championships, where he had scored 5 points in 8 games and was an alternate captain for the Americans. This is a really intriguing player, because everything that we have seen out of Pugachev, Olivier kind of does that in the National Hockey League now. Now, I will say, Pugachev is a little bigger than Olivier, so maybe when Pugachev goes out there and body checks guys so hard that they literally fly above the little ledge on the boards and into the glass, maybe Olivier is not capable of doing that, but still the intensity, the aggression, it's all there with Olivier. And this article goes out there and talks about the idea of him being a Montreal Canadiens trade target. Kent Hughes is still trying to add an impact player to his lineup, and among the names being mentioned, one stands out. Columbus Blue Jackets forward Mathieu Olivier. J.D. Lagrange of the Sick Podcast Network included him on this list of potential targets. It's a choice that could surprise plenty of Canadiens fans, but it's one that we love. We know Montreal wants to add more size and power to its top 6. Alex Newhook showed encouraging signs, but injuries hurt his consistency, which explained why the Canadiens could explore other options. Mathieu Olivier does not fit the traditional mold. He isn't a typical top 6 scorer, which makes his inclusion on the list even more intriguing, but he is a truly unique player. His combination of size, physicality, and improved offensive instincts would bring Montreal an element it currently lacks. Olivier could be the muscle next to Ivan Demidov. Lagrange's reasoning makes sense. Every skilled line can benefit from a player willing to retrieve pucks and make life miserable for opponents. Think Tom Wilson. That's the type of player who can balance out a unit. While the big names handle the offensive work, a guy like Mathieu Olivier does the dirty work in the corners. That profile is missing from the Canadiens right now. The club has plenty of talent, but it could benefit from a physical player capable of creating more room for its skilled players on the ice. His offensive instincts should not be overlooked either. He is no longer just a physical presence. He is now adding a production element to that part of his game. Putting a player like him alongside a Demidov would make sense. Now, this is pretty cut and paste when talking about the best lines in the National Hockey League and trying to figure out that third piece that usually brings a line all together. You need your Juraj Slafkovskys to balance out the two-way stability, playmaking, and smarts of a Nick Suzuki, as well as the goal-scoring instincts of a Cole Caulfield. You need that guy to be able to take passes off the boards, to dig pucks free, and a guy who could also provide skill. Olivier could do the same thing on the second line with a guy like Ivan Demidov as his opposite winger. Olivier can really bring the boom physically, setting up a Montreal Canadiens second line for a long-term future that's going to have that sort of intensity if you assume Gleb Pugachev is going to be a second-line player into the long term once Olivier leaves. Let's be real here, Olivier's 29 years old. He's not going to be around forever, though. His contract goes on till 2031. He's making $3 million a year, so this is a pretty long-term deal, but it does take him until he's, 34 years old? Sure, it's only $3 million. It's not like that's a lot of money, especially in today's NHL. But over the long term, as Montreal contends for cups over and over, if Olivier is able to continuously provide that physicality and that aggression with his speed and his skating, then you could actually see some great value with this player heading into the next few years. Having him and Gleb Pugachev and Florian Jacquet and Owen Protz and Tyler Thorpe, it could make the Montreal Canadiens a super dangerous team to play off against, not just on the score sheet, but for the literal flesh and bones of the opponents on the other side of the bench. This could be a really interesting addition. Obviously, Olivier is another one of these Blue Jackets that we've been talking about, could potentially be a Canadian, from Kent Johnson to Marchenko, and goodness dare forbid I say Adam Fantilli, but you could let me know your thoughts in the comments section if Olivier is a name you think the Habs should target. This article is going to be linked in the description if you want to go out there and read it yourself. I hope you enjoyed this Recherche 9, and bye.